Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Uncle Bruce here, live from Tokyo. Well, live is kind of not true. I am live. I mean, I'm here. I'm in Tokyo, and it is Sunday, August the 9th in the United States, and it's Sunday, August the 10th here in Tokyo. Um, but I want to tell you that this picture behind me is half real and half fake. Okay, Mount Fuji. Okay, right there. Oh, that's a real picture of Mount Fuji, but that's not what it looks like from Tokyo. Okay, you got to have one hell of a powerful camera on a perfectly clear day to get that shot, and that is very rare indeed because Mount Fuji is so high and there's clouds around it. Nonetheless, the skyscrapers are real, and I want to tell you that where I'm located at the Hilton Tokyo, uh, this this building here and this one is the same building. It's a twin tower structure. That is the municipal building for Tokyo, and that's a block away from where I live. This building is my neighbor, and my hotel is right there. So how about that? Welcome from Tokyo in August 2025. I want to talk to you today about SoFi. No surprise coming from me that I'm going to talk to you about SoFi. I have been following SoFi from day one when this company took over a SPAC and became listed on the NASDAQ stock exchange. Take a look at this chart right here. Let me pop this sucker up, and I'll pop myself down here in the bottom corner. This is a chart of SoFi from the very beginning when it was listed back in, right up here, January, back in 2021. And the initial surge that you had for the full year of 2021 was on all the hype that was going on in the markets at that time. The markets were hitting new record highs. The SPACs were all the rage. They were taking over from IPOs. And SoFi and a number of other stocks got caught up in the hype and the over anticipation of earnings and upside and everything else. And so look at the highs of those shares back in 21, 22, over $20 a share. Once we ended the end of 21 and entered 2022, however, the war on SPACs was on from the SEC. And I think what happened is my personal opinion that Wall Street wanted to eliminate SPACs from existence because SPACs were stealing fees from Wall Street. You could take a company public for a lot less trouble and a lot faster going through the SPAC route than doing the old traditional IPO route through Wall Street. And they wanted SPACs gone. And so the SEC obliged with ruling after ruling after ruling to make it nearly impossible for SPACs to exist for a while, causing companies like SoFi and many others, 800 other companies, massive extra fees in filing and expenses, legal fees, auditing fees. But SoFi survived that. The reality, though, is that 2022, the interest rates started to go up. We went from zero interest rates in 21 to new interest rates up to 4 or 5% that we all are aware of in 22 and 23. And so you can see how the shares of SoFi struggled along as impatient investors were looking for massive earnings immediately rather than give the company a year or two to establish itself and grow itself out. The good news is that in 23 and 24, the stock began to return to the $10 a share initial price that the shares first came out at. And in late 24, we broke out and started our move higher with one hiccup in 25, which was the Trump East Lawn presentation of tariffs that scared the markets globally. And SoFi shares for a brief moment returned to the $10 level and then bounced back like the rest of the market. And now SoFi is trading in the 22 range, threatening all-time highs if they keep right on rolling. Here's a chart that closed out Friday night. This is just the other day. 2212 was the last trade of the day in the after hours, and you can see this 1 week chart that I'm showing you here. And I wanted to show you this 1 week chart because I want to talk to you about why I'm making this video. There is a little line in that chart that you need to pay attention to, and it's at the end of Wednesday's trading coming into Thursday, you'll notice that the stock had a little blip on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday it was a flat, 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 flat. And then at the end of the day, or the first thing Thursday morning, up it went, and it's kind of stayed there. Now, that wasn't a massive move. It wasn't one of those, oh, life-changing move. We'll never see something like that again. No, it was a nice little, 50-cent pop, 60, 70-cent pop. There's a little zeroing in on that area of the chart I wanted to show you. Why? The question is, why is it that the shares made that move on Thursday morning? And well, I'm happy to tell you the reason. I'm your guy. I'm here to tell you why. Major announcement was made that wasn't made by Sofi. It was an announcement that came out very quietly that no one talked about in the like anywhere. Now, I'm not going to say other YouTubers who follow Sofi haven't talked about this. They may well have, and well done, because there are some very good followers of Sofi out there on YouTube. But what I wanted to bring to your attention was something called the Msci Acwi All Country World Index. Is that a mouthful for you? Is that enough for you to chew on for a while? Holy crap. I think this is it right here. Here's a logo on it. MSCI ACWI. That's the Morgan Stanley Composite Index of All Country World Index of stocks. 3,000 companies are in this index. They represent the top 3,000 corporations in the world. And guess what? Sofi was officially brought in, invited into the index August the 7th, the very day you saw this move right here. They are going to be trading in this index on August the 26th. That will be the first day that Sofi shares will be trading in the Morgan Stanley index. And this is a big deal. Why is this such a big deal? Why am I so happy about it? Why? I tell you, really, I can't believe the rest of the market hasn't figured this out. Here's the deal. Here's something for you to consider. BlackRock offers iShares in MSCI. They have an ETF. They have an ETF that tracks the MSCI, which means BlackRock has to buy Sofi stock. Hello. BlackRock has to buy Sofi stock for this index. Here's some others that are coming in. These are ETFs that also are going to need to buy Sofi. The Spider outfit, they're running an ETF. There's iShares. Here we go with Amundi, a couple more funds there, and Scalable, and many others. There are ETFs around the world that track the MSCI All World Index. And anytime a stock is added to the index, companies, these ETFs, have to buy the shares. And now Sofi will be on the buy lists as of August the 26th. And today is the 10th of August in Tokyo, the 9th of August in the USA. So in less than 2 weeks, here we go, in about 2 weeks. So this should be fun. A couple of other things you should be aware of. Since Sofi has gone public, and probably in the last year or so, Sofi has been added into these other indexes. The Russell 1000 Growth Index, they're in there. They were added June 30th of this year. There's all kinds of ETFs following that. They've been buying up Sofi. The NASDAQ Financial 100, they're in that one. They're in the Wilshire 5000. They're in the NASDAQ index simply because they're listed on NASDAQ. And they're the ETFs that own the most of these shares. Vanguard Total Stock Market, 33 million. Global X FinTech and Global X FinTech UCIT, I believe, two different funds. They've got almost 5% of their entire fund into Sofi stock. These are interesting amounts of money. 4.4 million shares are owned by the Cathie Woods funds. They own 4.4 million shares. The market cap of Sofi, just to tell you where we're at here, at these prices here, at 22 something a share, The market cap of SoFi right now is, for all U.S. companies combined, they rank at 464 largest corporation in market cap. They're certainly in the S&P 500 range. For the S&P 500, the average median cap value of an S&P 500 stock, and this includes the multi-trillion-dollar behemoths that dominate the index, the average is $33.4 billion. SoFi's market cap is in the 20 million range, or 22, $23 billion neighborhood. And so SoFi's values are quickly climbing here to the point where they are qualifying to become a member of the S&P 500 index. This is a big deal for shareholders of SoFi. And for those of you who follow SoFi closely, I'm just going to pop up the quote in front of me right now. The exact market cap Friday night, I think, was $26.4 billion. Now, they raised $1.75 billion in cash on July 31. That's 11 days ago, by issuing 80 odd million shares at 21.80 a share, something like that. A wonderful move, in my humble opinion, that increased their market cap. By the way, as far as SoFi goes right now, if you were to actually add SoFi into the index, if you were to add SoFi into the S&P 500, the Nasdaq traded SoFi shares, we're talking about a company that would be in the 3 to 400 range in rankings. It would be one of the 3 to 400 largest S&P 500 companies. That's what's happening with SoFi. One last thing to mention, just a couple little tidbits for you. I was telling you about how I followed this stock from the very beginning here, right from Jan 21 all the way to now. I want you to see something else. This chart that I'm going to show you right here. Here you go. This little chart right here. This is the membership number for SoFi. They of course, they call their customers members. So if you open up a bank account through SoFi, you automatically become a member of the bank. They were under 2 billion, actually, or 2 million members back in 2020. But in 21, they were just under 3 million. And you can see this chart rise, but it only goes until 24. So if we substitute that chart with this chart, now we can see that they are sitting at 8.7 million at the end of the second quarter 24. That's a year ago. At the third 24, 9.3 million members, 10.1 million at the end of the 2024, 6 months ago. End of the first quarter in 25, 10.9 million members, and 11.7 million as of the end of June. The end of June. Now they're adding over 800,000 members a quarter right now. Just look at the fourth quarter 24 number, 10.1, then to 10.9, that's 800,000, and then 10.9 to 11.7, that's another 800,000 members. You add another 800,000 this quarter, which we're a month and 5 weeks into. It's August the 10th now. That would put us at the end of September at 12.5 to 12.6 members. And for the end of the year, 13.5 million members is likely where this company is going to be. 13.5 million members. And so the momentum is certainly and clearly happening for SoFi. Absolutely clearly happening for SoFi on number of points. The gross sales are at record highs and growing 30+%. Profits are growing, exploding. They're being added into numerous indexes, and this is the systemic pattern that has been going on now for about a year and a half. This company's shares are being added to all these sub-indexes, and it will not stop, and they will become a member of the S&P 500. Now, the 26th of August, with the Morgan Stanley index, the all-world index that they're being added into right here, this could well shoot the shares into the 30 level already. And that would put the market cap into the 33 to 35 billion range. That would equal the median of the S&P 500 right there. So get ready to rumble, kids. I think we've got ourselves a bit of a run coming here. I'm thinking that between now and the end of the year, the stock will reach the $40 mark on financial performance, net profits, membership growth, and index inclusions without S&P 500. They do not need the S&P 500 to get to 40. The S&P 500 inclusion will then cause dozens of very, very large ETFs globally to buy into SoFi stock. The thing is that the higher the market cap goes for SoFi, the more shares they will have to acquire of SoFi because it'll become a larger piece of the S&P 500. Now, it's not a $1 trillion market cap company. Let's be reasonable. But I'll tell you, they're on their way now into the mid-20s to the 30 billion range. They're going to reach 40 to 45 billion by the end of the year, in my opinion. And they're then going to be unleashed into the 50 to 100 billion market cap range through 26. And that's where you have to decide, what do you do as either an existing investor, a wannabe, someone who's thought about it, never heard about it, watching me for the first time. What do you do? And if you follow this channel, if you follow me as a YouTuber, you're going to learn that the viewers of my channel are not necessarily just shareholders of companies. The viewers of this channel are actually option writers. They write stock options. And one way to take advantage of SoFi and its upward potential is to write what we call cash secured puts. And that is where you offer to buy SoFi shares up to a certain point in time in the future at a certain price you get to dictate. For example, you could say, I'm happy to pay $20 a share for this stock, even though it's trading at 22. I would be willing to pay $20. If it dipped a little bit, I'd buy it at $20. If you were to make that kind of commitment until January 26, which is 5 months from now, you could collect over $2 a share in cash to make that commitment by writing and selling a cash secured put. The shares stay above $20 a share by next January, where I'm expecting them to go to 40. You keep that $2+ a share. That's your money. You put up $2,000 for one contract. It's 100 shares times $20 a share. You put up $2,000 and get 250 back. You're sitting on $250, and it's your $250. You have $2,250 in your account now, and you don't own any shares of SoFi. If you wanted to write $25 contracts all the way to January 27, for example, extend the amount of time you're willing to buy the stock at a higher price, even higher than where it's trading at, you'll get paid about $7 a share in cash. So you're going to put up $2,500 and collect $700 back right now. You're sitting on $3,200 for a 100 share commitment. By the way, you can earn interest on that $3,200 depending on which brokerage firm you're dealing with while you're waiting to either buy the shares or buy these contracts back. As long as the shares go over 25 a share, these contracts will shrink in price to the point where they'll be worth $0 if the shares are over 25 a share. Or if they're sitting at $24 a share 6 months from now, your contract will have lost 6 months of its time, which means it'll lose value from the $7 range. And since it's only $1 out of the money and not $1 in the money, as opposed to right now about $2 in the money, almost $3 in the money, that contract will go from $7 to probably $4, which means you'll already have in profits on your $7 right. In other words, you can keep 300 of the 700 if you wanted to buy them back at that time. You can buy your contracts back when you want. If you want to learn how to become an option writer, you need to go over here. You need to go to my website, which is called Stock Markets with Bruce. You have to go over here. And if you go over here to Stock Markets with Bruce, you'll find that I have a link called Classes. And here's the link page right there. It just says Attention Students, Classes in Session. And you can start acquiring classes, lessons on how to become an option writer. And there's 19 of them, and they start with the very first one, how to buy a call and put stock options, and number 2, how to write call and put stock options. Right there, you take those 2 classes, they're in plain English, they're about an hour and a half, 2 hours long. You can rewatch them as many times as you want. You will learn already how you can write options. You go down the list a little ways, you'll quickly come to the section where we talk about how you do butterfly options, how do I pick my stocks. You can find in lesson 11 using poor man covered call strategies, rollover strategies. You could probably figure out right over here, income from writing put contracts, doing option spreads. We cover it all. There are 19 classes here at your disposal. You can take a look at this website at your leisure and understand how it is that you can write a stock option and make money. If you want to buy 1,000 shares of Sofi, you can spend 22 grand right now and buy 1,000 shares of Sofi. That's what they're sitting at, roughly 20, what is it, 22 bucks a share right here. There we are, 22.12. You want to pick up 1,000 shares, put up 22 grand. On the other hand, you want to put up $22,000, you can write 11 $20 cash secured puts. And if you're hauling in about $250 a contract, you're going to haul in, what is that, 2,750 bucks will be brought in. If, however, you want to write $25 contracts and you've got 20 grand, you can write 8 of those and bring in 700 per contract, 5,600 bucks. That is cash in your account the very day you create the contract, and you'll be earning interest on that entire capital while you wait out what this is going to do. If the shares want to go to 30 in the next 3 months on the next earnings report, they want to go to 30, and you've written January 25 contracts for January 27, those are going to be down to about $4, maybe $3, maybe $2.50. You'll just buy them back at $2.50, $3. Take the differential, say thank you for the $7. I'll give you $3 back. I'll keep the $4. And now you're going to write a new cash secured set of puts. You're going to write 35s or 40s. In other words, you're going to take in $7, $8, $9 for new contracts, having just cleared 3 on these or 4 on these. And now you've in effect taken $1,100 of investors' money and put it in your pocket, into your account, on top of your commitment. You want to learn all this? Go to my website, stockmarketswithbruce.ca. That's where you've got to go. Here's the address there. And if you have any troubles with the linkage and being able to find your lesson, you watch half of it, and the next day you come back and you can't find your link to the class, you just send me an email, which is all included inside my description here and also on my website. I'll get you another link and have you looked after. You'll be able to watch this class as many times as you want. And if you feel down the road you want to have a one-on-one consultation with me and get together with me for a private one-on-one on-camera chat, that's available too. More than happy to talk to you about that when you're good and ready, and we'll set you up from there. Anyway, there you go, kids. There's your little chat of the day for Sofi. This video's going a little longer than I thought it would. I like the company. I like the stock, and I think the upside is tremendous. Thank you for joining me today from Tokyo. We'll keep you posted. We'll keep following these shares. And if you have any questions on how to write options, you let me know. Okay, everybody, all the best to you. Don't forget to subscribe. And there it is right there. Hit the thumbs up button for me if you don't mind. And we'll see you next time. This is Uncle Bruce saying goodbye from Tokyo here, August 2025.